very excited to see how much accounting information I can squeeze into the next 60 minutes. I appreciate you guys taking the time this afternoon on a late Friday afternoon to join me. I do have some colleagues on the phone who are available to answer any questions. Should you have any as the webinar goes on, feel free to ask those questions via the webinar question forum within the webinar dashboard. Also, do be aware that we do record all of the webinars. They are located within your site, within our help site, within your Magazine Manager site. And if you go there, you're going to see webinars, you're going to see upcoming webinars, and then also the past webinars. So should you miss something, or if I tend to go a little fast, always know that you can go in there and watch a recorded webinar. Okay. The new schedule for next month has not been updated here yet under the upcoming webinars. It should be updated over the weekend. Just to let you guys know, the next webinar on August 7th is going to be regarding circulation. On August 15th, we're going to do the mailing list wizard with the Contactology integration. And then on August 21st, we're going to do a digital studio, a case study of the new digital studio pagination, flat plan, and digital editions. Okay, so hopefully those may spark some interest of you or some of your colleagues. So please make sure to stay tuned to the software consultant email letters that we try to send out on a weekly basis. And then also within this help, you'll see the schedule there as well. Okay. There's two main things that I want to try to accomplish today, and one is just to review some of the AR management functions that are available. A lot of these features have been added to the site over the past few years, and I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of them. A lot of times we go about our day and we forget to look back or even have the need to go back into our management site setup area. I'm going to spend about 10-15 minutes reviewing some of the newer features that are available. Hopefully a lot of you are already utilizing.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
There appears to be an audio issue there. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay, I hear a yes. Thank you for whoever responded to me. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. So again, that's part one, is the management site setup options. And then secondly, I want to just go through the entire process from start to finish. And again, I'm very confident that most of you are probably doing the same sort of process. I'm going to show you some of the basic functions as well as some of the more robust and features of the AR module. So with that being said, we're first going to take a quick look at the management site setup, website setup area. As many of you are aware, this is an administrative-only area. And for the most part, I believe most accounting folks are administrators of their site. So I'm hoping that most of you have access to this area. If you don't, and you see something that you want to incorporate or implement into your processes there within your organization, just reach out to one of your system administrators and they can quickly and easily make these changes as well. The first one is under site-wide defaults. There's actually 4 things in here that I want to quickly review. And one is displaying a credit limit on a run sheet. A lot of clients come to me and say, Dawn, how can I make sure that everyone within my organization knows that someone is past due or they're in an accounting red flag status? Well, this is probably the place that I would point that person. And what this does, now this feature actually has 2 rules incorporated. One is that you have to be past due on AR, and the second is that you have to be over your credit limit. So the next question is, Dawn, you know what, we don't really care about credit limits. We don't have credit limits within our organization, but, we obviously want to have this tied to just our, past due AR. Well, that's fine. What you can do, and just so everyone's aware, under the search contacts on any company, every company has a details page. On that details page, over to the right is a credit limit. And as you can see, my test site here, we have a credit limit set to 1 for every single company in the database. So that means I don't care about the credit limit. It excludes that rule, and now I'm literally just looking at the AR. So a lot of clients, again, if you want to use this credit limit feature, showing it in red when they're past due on AR without the credit limit, just submit a tech support ticket and let them know or ask them, can you please update my credit limit to 1? And they'll go ahead in our database. We have scripts already written, and they'll go ahead and do that for you for your charge. Okay? So that's the first one. And you also have, depending on how lenient you guys are with your AR terms, you can change this. If you guys are due upon receipt, you may want to show everybody in red that's 15 days out, or 30, or 60, depending on your internal terms. The other two options here are the ability to prevent a proposal and or a contract from being created in the system for those same things that, when you're past due on AR and you're over the credit limit. Now, I've seen a lot of publishers, I'm not really too concerned with how many proposals are outstanding for people that are over the credit limit, but where I do see a lot of restrictions is with the customer or with the contract. They don't want any new orders being added into the system, obviously, if you can't get paid on what you've already run. And again, you have the ability to change this based on your terms and conditions there. Also note here that an admin user can always still create a proposal and or a contract. So in those cases, the rep will be restricted from entering those, but they can always come to an administrator of the site, and that person can, if they get the proper approval, they can move forward and still enter that contract into the system. Okay. Underneath the accounts receivable area, there's two new options here. One is the consolidated invoices by default. And a lot of you may hear about this a lot. It is a newer feature of the site, and what this does is it allows you to put multiple line items on one invoice to the client. So for those of you who have been with us for a while, you may remember back in the day where we always recommend or suggested that you always only do one line item per invoice. And we strongly recommended that because we wanted to make sure that all your sales reporting and your AR reporting was totally aggregated by product, so you guys can very, very, quickly and easily identify, the AR and sales by product. So then, of course, you guys all came to Mirabelle and said, you know what, that's nice, and of course, my sales manager wants everything allocated and my AR people want everything allocated, but now our core advertiser doesn't want to receive 6 invoices for July just because they're running in 6 different publications of ours, and or web ads, the websites, the trade shows, or the events. So what we've done is we incorporate, we now have this consolidated invoice that allows you to put as many line items on one document to the advertiser. So for July, they'll get one invoice with the 6 line items of everything that they ran in July. The nice thing is, though, for us accountants and for our sales manager, you guys still have the reporting all the way down to the product level. Okay, and we're going to see that as we go through the webinar here, how that works. And again, I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are already using this. I just want to make sure that some of our older clients, that you guys are aware that these features are now available. Since it's most of you guys that have pushed this development for us. The next one here is statements per billing contact. Again, some of our older clients of Magazine Manager will remember this, where when it was originally designed, we only allowed you to have one billing contact per company. Okay. Well, that's nowadays, today, that's a problem. A lot of us deal with different ad agencies for different products, whether, you may have one ad agency deal for web, one ad agency for print, and maybe the client is the one who's responsible for paying for all the sponsorships and the events. So when we incorporated that now, so now you can't have as many billing contacts per company that you need. This now allows you to do statements per billing contact, because again, before when you did a statement, it was always tied to the company because there was only one billing. But now, when you do statements, if you're using accounting statements in Magazine Manager, now when you go up and pull advertiser ABC, they may have 5 different statements because you're dealing with 5 different billing contacts at that location. Okay. Just so you know, both of these are not checked off by default. So the defaults of these options are unchecked. So if if you think this is a great idea and oh my gosh, why haven't we been using this, or it's because you guys need to come in here and just check those boxes off. Okay. The next thing under the site setup that I want to just point out quickly are activity types. Now, the activity types have always, well, it's probably 2 years old now, but you know, a lot more people are using this a lot more recent. Now, the activity types is a way to track your CRM activity. So I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are putting in notes anytime you make a collections call or anytime you're touching a company or a customer in your Magazine Manager database, you're putting a note in activity. So that way no one has to ask you what's going on with this account. They can just look at the record and see it. So what the activity types allows you to do is allow you to get a little bit more detailed. So, you know, now managers, publishers, your controller can now say, you know what, you know, I just want to, you know, take a look at all the collection calls that have been made for this particular customer. Or you know what, let's see how many collection calls we made as a team for the month of January. And it's just a nice way to track, you know, the team's activity. And a lot, you know, whether there's incentives or commissions based on that. And again, it's just a lot more robust reporting. And like I said, we'll take a look at this report just so you guys can see the capabilities. And as you can see, this really, you know, the sales team really drives a lot of these activity types. So what I do on this particular site and what I've seen a lot of clients do is they'll just, you know, categorize the types by department. So you can see here we have AR, everything for AR falls under that. And then you may have sales, you may have leads, you may have prospects, and so forth there. Okay? The next thing is under the employee editor. I just want to point this out. Within each employee record, you do have the rep notifications. Okay? And just to remind everyone, these notifications are pushes to each individual user's Magazine Manager inbox. So a lot of times, the collection person may not be the manager, or may not be the person who's overseeing the entire team. So a lot of times your controllers, your publishers may want to set these notifications up to see, you know what, I want to see when payments are received. You know, without running a report or going anywhere in the database, just by logging into Magazine Manager and looking at my inbox, I can now see all the payments that my collection people, you know, have received. And then again, if there's invoices that are late, if you want to see when invoices are created, you have all those options there under the AR subtitles. The next thing that's important here is the My Clients. In a lot of cases, your sales reps may be paid based on the cash receipt. So they're very interested and may be in tune to your collections effort. So under the My Clients, this way your sales reps will only be notified when things are happening to their own accounts. They don't really care about payments being received on Joe's accounts. They're only concerned with what's being received on their own. So again, it's just a nice little feature, part of the system. A lot of clients really utilize these different types of notifications, and I just wanted to point out the AR ones in particular. If there's anything that you guys see that would be useful as far as an inbox notification, as far as AR is concerned, and you don't see it here, please feel free to submit a text ticket and suggest it. We're always looking for new ways and ideas to, you know, to get people more involved in the system and really from a higher level management perspective, you know, really seeing what's going on, you know, throughout your organization without really having to do anything except look at all the notifications that we're pushing to you. Okay. The next thing under the site-wide setup that I just want to point out, again, you guys probably are hopefully using this, you may, is closing an issue. A lot of people come to me and say, Dawn, how do I close my accounting period? Well, in Magazine Manager, you can't necessarily close an accounting period. But what we do have, and I suggest that you guys use if you aren't already, is closing an issue. And all this does is it prevents any edits or additions or deletions from being done to an issue once you build it. Okay? So, and you're going to see as we go through the webinar my process and where I feel that the best time to close an issue is. Now again, everyone's processes are different, and so you guys can take that for what it's worth. But very easily here, what most people will do is, you know what, I got all my billing done for July, I'm going to go ahead and just close every issue that falls in July. Okay? And when you do that, the system's going to go through every single product that you have, and it's going to find anything that has a July issue date. And it's going to go through there, and at the very bottom of the screen, we're going to hit Close Selected Issue. And now nothing can be done to that issue. So now you as accountants know that that whatever number you may be posting in your accounting package is accurate. Nothing can change unless it goes through an administrator. Okay? Now the next question is, you know what, my sales managers always change things at the last minute. Even though they're not supposed to, you know, they always want to, try to change something at the last minute. You know what, they can. But either themselves, if they're an administrator, magazine manager, or you will have to come in here and open the issue. It's just as easy to open an issue as it is to close it. You would just come in here and look for your closed issues. You know what, I got to open July back up. There's a change for whatever reason, and now you reopen it. You can make the changes to the contract and come in here and close it. Okay. The last thing under the management site setup is the invoice template. Now, I'm not going to go in much detail here. There's so many various ways that you guys can set up your templates. There is a video on it, and I do believe that we have a webinar scheduled that's going to really take you into the nitty-gritty of setting up templates. And I think that one's slated for, I believe, September. But just quickly, a few things that I want to point out on the invoice template is the line item block area. You now have two different blocks. You have a print and a digital. Now in Magazine Manager, you now have the ability to have, product types, which right now are print or digital. So this allows you to segment or segregate those on your proposals and or invoice templates. Okay? So sometimes in tech support we'll get, why aren't my digital items showing up on my invoice? Most likely it's because you forgot to add your digital item block. Okay? The next question is, a lot of people will say, well, why are they two different blocks? I don't want them to be separated. I want them to all be together. Well, the problem is, as you can see right here on this particular example is, your digital ads have a lot more, or maybe not a lot more, but different information than your print ads would. As you can see here, they may have CPMs or impressions or a start date and an end date. So we don't have the ability to put those all together because they don't line up. The columns wouldn't line up, and so that's why it's segregated. Okay. Also, if you hit edit to the left of the line block, you're going to see all these options here. This area is a little taunting sometimes because there is so much information here. And what's happening is our clients all have these great requests of how they want things to be displayed and how they want to show things. And we keep on adding those because they are good ideas. But when we do that, you can see that it sometimes overcomplicates things. So with that being said, if you guys can't get your templates to work or it's not displaying exactly how you think it should, ask us about it. Let us know. It's probably not that the system can't handle it. It's probably something very simple is just not set up correctly here in the display field area. Okay. The one new thing, which is very critical when it comes to combo package invoicing, and that's this new hide feature. And what this does is this allows you to hide dollar information. So for example, back to my, I bill everything for the month of July, and now I have 6 line items. Now my client may not know how those 6 line items allocate. They don't know that it's $100 for this, $250 for this, $750 for this. And nor do you want them to see that on the invoice. So what this hide feature will do is it will hide the line item dollar values, but it will give you a nice total at the end of the invoice. So now they're going to get an invoice for $12,000. They're going to see that it included 6 different line items, your leaderboard, your websites, your trade shows, your events, but they're not going to see that allocation. Again, the nice thing is behind the scenes for us in Magazine Manager, for us accountants, everything is still allocated for us the way we need it, but displayed to the customer in the way that they want to see it or that you want them to see it. Okay? All right, I went over 5 minutes. I'll make up that 5 minutes somewhere else. The next thing I want to go over is the process. What is the process in Magazine Manager from start to finish for an accounting person? Okay. Now I would put that into two separate responsibilities. One is the billing, receivables, and then obviously the second is the collection. Sometimes it's the same person, sometimes it's different. Now the nice thing about Magazine Manager is, for the most part, the sales reps are responsible for entering in all this information. So that by itself should save the accounting person a lot of time. And not only time, but there's no room for error having to retype everything in on the accounting side, because everything is straight through processing in Magazine Manager. Once it's entered from the sales side, the contract's entered, it's immediately available for you exactly how it was entered. So there's no way that something can be different on your accounting side than on the sales side, because there's, again, it's the same relational database. So when you go to create your new invoices, the first thing you're going to do is create your invoice template. Some clients have 4 pages of invoice templates for different scenarios, and that's okay. And other clients have 1 template. That's totally up to you. Exactly how do you guys need to show your information to your different advertisers, okay? I'm going to go ahead and just select the Dawn demo here. And you're going to see this invoice creation search page is pretty robust. There's probably not many ways that you would want to create invoices that you cannot find on this page. Now, for the most part, I think a lot of people are invoicing by issue date or by billing date, and then some people will filter. Maybe they want to invoice by company. Most people, I believe, are doing it by product, by issue. Okay. One thing I want to point out here that I get a lot of questions about is, I have 5 different buckets or groups of people of different billing terms. For example, this group of people, I have to send tear sheets out. So I can't even email those people. I have to print and mail those out. This other set of people, in addition to emailing them, I have to use a different template because these people are net 30 terms, where our standard terms are net 15. Okay? And then these group of people, they're just off the wall. For whatever reason, we have these special billing requirements. So a lot of clients will say, Dawn, how do I do that? How can I manage all that? My suggestion, and I'm sure there's others, suggestions out there and things that work for different people, but my suggestion would be to use the contact group, only because it's part of our standard invoice creation page. So there's nothing custom, there's nothing that has to be done by anyone, it's right here. And so what you would do, and as you can see, I've already set this up here on this particular demo site, is these are the different groups of people that I have to do something different with. So what you do, one time back on the company record, you're going to flag these people into the group. So if somebody wants a tear sheet, or someone is on special billing, or someone does net 15, what you're going to do is when you come to this invoice creation page, you're now going to come in here and you're going to do your invoicing by these groups. So now the first group that I'm going to do is anyone that requires a digital tear sheet, because now I know that I can't email these people, so I have to print something off and mail it to them. Now, one thing just to keep in mind here with digital tear sheets, I'm sure you guys have already heard this, but we have our Digital Studio product, which is a flat plan, a pagination system, and it also goes all the way to the digital editions out on your iPad. Well, something that we're currently working on, and I'm not sure when it's going to be released, probably sometime next year, are digital tear sheets. So what's going to happen, and that's linked, and the nice thing about that is it's totally integrated with Magazine Manager. So now, when your production person is over in Digital Studio and they place an ad, not only in Magazine Manager do you guys get to see exactly what page that's on, when you guys do your invoicing and you email those out, you're now going to have you're going to have a link to that digital page. So that should take away any need to send or mail a tear sheet, because now they have a link, they click on it, they can see exactly their page, what page it is in the digital edition, and there you go. So that's something that we're really excited for, and I know some of you have spoke some interest in that as well, so something to keep in mind. So now, if we go ahead, I'm just going to go and leave this all default for the month of July, and I'm going to hit search again, okay? Now, as you can see, because I had that consolidated invoices checked off in my site-wide settings, you can see that little option here. If for whatever reason, one of your special groups of people do not want a consolidated invoice with everything on one document, and instead they would rather have 3 invoices, 1 for each product, you always have the ability to uncheck this. By unchecking this and billing DAX Enterprises in this example, they would get 3 individual invoices. Okay? I'm going to leave it consolidated. I'm going to go ahead and very simply, I'm going to check off the people I want to invoice. The invoice date always defaults to today. You can always change it, and the default due date is always net 30. Okay? And now very simply, you're going to invoice selected items. Whether it's one invoice or 500, they're all created with the click of that button. Okay. Now, very quickly, if I click on that, also notice something here that may be different for some of you, is the invoice number. The invoice number scheme is different for the consolidated invoices. We wanted a way for us to quickly be able to identify what is a standard invoice with one line item versus one that has more than one line item. And that's the CI that you see here on the invoice number scheme. Okay? So you can see here the invoice, and again, I have my print block at the top, as you see here, and I also have my digital block, as you can see here. And then we have our barter. This one happens to have some barter included, and then also the total cash. One thing I want to mention here, some people, especially newer clients that come on board, they get all excited because Magazine Manager has a standard way to track barter and trade. But then they get confused when they come to the invoicing and also the accounts receivable. They're like, wait a minute, why is barter on my accounts receivable? In Magazine Manager, we track barter as a receivable. So if you're not expecting to get that barter, don't put it in as barter. It's a true way to track, barter, that you're expecting to receive something. And again, it's allocated differently throughout the site. It's allocated as trade or barter, and it's different from cash, but we do track it as a real receivable. And you'll see on some of the reports, you have the ability to exclude the barter and see only the cash, but in most statements and in most reports, you're going to see both of them. Okay? At the bottom of this invoice template, you may see something different that you haven't seen. And this is the ability for your advertisers to, we call it self-pay. We call it the advertiser self-pay. Now, most of you that are using our accounts receivable module have your merchant account integrated with Magazine Manager. If you don't, you probably should reconsider it. And you're going to see, as we go through the webinar this afternoon, different places that I feel like having your merchant account integrated is going to save you time, which in essence saves you money. Okay, and this is one of them. If you have your merchant account integrated with us, you have the ability, we will provide you a link that you can embed on the bottom of your invoice template. And it says, to pay your invoice, click here. So the advertiser clicks here. Sorry, I need to write the invoice number down. So here, I'm going to click here. They're going to get presented with this screen. It's a pretty standard page, and they're going to be presented with their customer ID. Now, most advertisers are not going to know what their customer ID is. So if you are going to utilize this feature, you want to make sure that the customer ID is a merge field that you place on the bottom of your invoice template. Okay? And now they're going to come in and they're going to go ahead and put the invoice, which is 2013 CI-244, I believe. Okay? And right now, they get this screen. And now when they hit pay, it's going to pull open a credit card payment window. Hopefully. Okay? So right now, at the convenience of their desk, at the moment that you email them an invoice, they have the option, if they want to pay their invoice right now. Okay? On this particular example, you can see that I already have this advertiser's credit card on file. They have the ability to use the credit card on file and hit submit, and that's it. They just paid their invoice. They didn't have to write a check. They didn't have to call. They didn't have to mail anything. It's paid. Or if they don't want to use the credit card that you guys may already have on file, then they have the ability to uncheck this and put in any type of information that they want. Okay? Once you hit submit here, let me just go ahead and do it. Oh. I was afraid of that on the test site. Typically, once you hit submit, you will get an immediate verification that the credit card has gone through. It will give you a receipt page that we suggest or recommend that you print off. Now, the nice thing about that, once they pay that invoice, the invoices are now paid in Magazine Manager, and the money now is flowing to your merchant account already. So this example is hands off to you at this point. A lot of clients that are using this have said that they get paid a lot quicker just by embedding that advertiser self-pay link in the bottom of their invoice. Okay? Also, before that step, obviously, you have the ability to mass email your invoices out. Now, again, these emails go out through our server, but it looks to the client as though it's coming directly from whatever email address you put in here. Okay, and then you can just put, July, and then you're going to create the job. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to send this to this client. They would probably be in shock. But then you email those out, and now all your invoices are emailed. Now, a lot of clients aren't comfortable with emailing invoices because they say, oh, my clients will never get it. I may not have an email address. What I'm suggesting, and I know a lot of clients have listened, I always tell them it doesn't hurt to email them out. I mean, still do your normal process of, printing them and mailing them and do whatever you need to do. But it's not going to hurt to send this email out and just let them know, hey, FYI, invoices are in the mail today. And then start getting them used to receiving this via email, and then maybe it's a process or a company change that you guys can, slowly start, getting people to pay online and or receive your invoices via email. As we all know, it saves money and time to email them versus, mass mailing them. Okay. Now, the next step in the process would be to receive money. Of course, now my invoices are out. Now all of my money is coming in. Now, under the accounts receivable receive payment window, this is where you can pretty much do anything you need to do with receiving payment. And so in this payment method, you're going to see a drop-down list. And these are all of the different things that you can do regarding payments. Now, most of the time, it's going to be you're receiving something. You're receiving a check, a credit card, or cash, and you're applying that to an outstanding invoice down below. Okay. The other thing that you can do here under this payment method is you can write something off, or you can do a credit memo or a non-cash adjustment. The one thing I want to make sure everybody is aware of on the phone is when you're doing these various payment methods, the credit memo, the write-off, the non-cash adjustment, it is only an AR transaction in Magazine Manager. It does not affect the cash. It does not affect the sales side of the database. Okay. So what I like to recommend to people, if it's a small amount or it's something that it doesn't matter, $20 isn't going to make or break the sales side of the database, then go ahead and do a write-off or a credit memo. But if you have to do a credit memo for half of the price of an ad that a full-page ad, then you may consider going in and updating the contract first and re-invoicing it. One thing that we do a good job of in Magazine Manager is always making sure that our sales side of the database matches our AR side. Now, unfortunately, sometimes accounting folks don't like that because a lot of time us in accounting, we want to quickly just make an adjustment and move on. We don't really, care, about the sales side so much. So, just keep that in mind. We do that because we want to ensure that everything matches one another. So we don't let you just quickly do something on the AR side that doesn't affect the sales. Okay? And again, as you can see here, barter. So if you have a proposal and you're expecting barter, or you made, $500 of that contract barter, we're going to make you receive the barter. So in here, your payment method is barter. You know what, it's $500, and then in your memo field, you want to make sure, whatever that barter is, concert ticket. So now it's getting off of your AR, okay? Also, with the merchant account integration, when you come to this page and you are doing a payment, or you're receiving a payment of $500, you wouldn't just hit pay, you would hit credit card. Because now, it's going to open up that same sort of credit card payment window. You're going to hit submit, and now the invoice is marked paid in Magazine Manager, and the funds are directly sent to your merchant account. Okay? Now, a couple other things that happen in the receive payment area. Some of my clients will say, what, Dawn? We only deal with prepayment. We don't run ads unless they pay up front. So what happens in that case is you've already received the payment. You're not going to, you're not going to not receive a $10,000 check because they haven't run yet. Of course, you want to receive that $10,000. It's going to sit in the customer account as deferred revenue or deferred income until the time that that invoice happens, or that issue runs, or that trade show or that event happens or takes place. So what happens is in the database we have a report, and we just you can call it whatever you want. The standard is the AR aging for prepay apply. So what this means is this report now shows anyone that has a credit balance or a prepayment amount, okay? And as you can see, it's going to start showing clients that have open invoices. So now from one report, you can now move all of that money that's sitting in your prepayment or your credit account to your open invoice. Okay? This will save you this report will save you tons of time if you're a client that does a lot with prepayment. Now, if someone hasn't already asked the question through the forum, I know it's coming, so I'm going to bring it up right now. Okay, Tina, Dax Enterprises, they have a $500 credit. I have all these open invoices. How do I know what that $500 credit is for? Or even if you know what it's for, you know, I know that this is for the print product, but I don't know what these invoices are. Somebody's already requested it, and a lot of people have, including myself. So what we're going to do here, we don't have a lot of room left on the report, as you can see. So instead of adding or trying to push in all this information regarding the invoice details, what we're going to probably do is either create a link that's going to allow you to quickly look at the invoice, or when you hover over this invoice number, it's going to give you a little window that lets you know exactly what these invoices are for. So now you can quickly say, you know what, this is the one for the print product. You know, and now you just go through. Now in a lot of my clients' cases, you know, they don't really care, okay? They don't, you know, they collected $50,000 for everything that runs for the rest of the year. So they're not really interested on, you know, I got to pay this one first. They want to pay the oldest one first. So they just come through and let the default do its work as far as, you know, the latest one or the oldest invoice. And at the very bottom, you apply selected prepaid, and now at the click of that button, all of your prepayments are applied to your open invoices. Okay. The next thing that people ask about with the prepayment is the batch processing of credit cards. Again, if you're not using this feature and you have, I like to say 10%, depending on the size of the company. It may be a little less, it may be a little more. But if 10% of your clients, you have a credit card on file, you need to be using our batch processing feature. It will save you hours every time you process credit cards. And so what this does is when you go to the AR aging with batch billing, any credit card that you have on file that has an open balance will appear on this report. So let's say 50 of your clients, you have a credit card. Right now, you guys are manually going in there every month, every week, if you're a newspaper, and you're processing that credit card manually. Okay? That takes time. There's room for error, and so forth. What this does is it stores the credit card for you. Now, I just want to throw this out there. Magazine Manager does not store the credit cards in our database. The credit cards are stored at our gateway, Plug and Pay. The gateway servers are PCI compliant. That is why we don't ever recommend or suggest that you keep any credit card information with all the rules and regulations that are out there right now. I think we all know, you know, that we want to make sure that any credit card information is stored on a PCI compliant server. So again, part of that integration, these credit cards are now stored. So at the end of the day, when you're getting ready to batch process, you now select all, and now you hit a button, and all of these clients' credit cards are processed within minutes. You know, I'm not sure you guys probably are aware of this, but here at Mirabel, we manage our leasing and our hosting fees inside a Magazine Manager site. And so you can relate that we have over 500 clients that we have a credit card on file. And before this was available, our controller had to manually process 500 credit cards every month. Again, probably took 8 to 10 hours. Now she does it in 15 minutes. So again, just keep that all in mind. If you're not using it, please at least have a quick conversation with your software consultant to make sure that the reasons you're not using it make sense and are still valid. Okay? Now, after we've received the payments and we invoiced everything in Magazine Manager, one of my favorite reports is under the accounts receivable, and it's called unbilled charges. All this report does is ensures you that everything that you thought you billed for a particular issue or a particular date range has been billed. So, you know, for this example, I billed everything for anything that ran in July. So I'm going to run this report for July 1st through July 31st, and I just want to quickly eyeball it to make sure that everything was invoiced. Whoops. This report is now showing me, you know what? SL Towers had a contract for the July issue, and it wasn't billed. Is there a good reason why? You know, maybe it was an oversight. Maybe maybe these were one of your special criteria that you missed for whatever reason, because they're so special, they're probably hard to manage. So now you can make an effort, you can decide, you know what, yeah, I know why I didn't invoice and I'm not going to. Or, you know what, I need to go invoice these people, I totally forgot about them. Okay? This also is a nice report for those of you that may not have known about it and have been with us for a while. It's very, whenever I get clients on the phone, I'm like, you know what, let's just take a quick look at everything that had an issue date of 2012. Sometimes I don't get a good response on the other side. And sometimes I think some creative accounting then happens quickly. But again, for an extra minute, it's worth it. It's worth not accidentally forgetting to bill $9,500. Okay? So now in our process, we've invoiced everything, we've received our payments, we ran this report, and with this report really showing that, our sales now, we are 100% confident matches our AR because we billed everything, because nothing is on this report. Now would be the time that I usually suggest that you go and close the issue, because now you're done, you're getting ready to post your numbers into your accounting package, so you want to make sure that sales doesn't accidentally go in there, change, edit, delete, or add anything. Okay, if you're going to do that. So now the next question is, what report would I use to post my aggregate number into my accounting package? There's actually two reports. Clients are probably 50-50 on this. The first report I'm going to show is the transaction report. This report pretty much shows you everything that you need from an overall perspective. This transaction report is going to give you your starting balance, your ending balance, everything that happened in between, everything that was invoiced, all the payments that were received. The nice thing that I like about this report is everything is itemized here, all of your payment methods. So very quickly, you can reconcile, the other question is, Dawn, what report can I run to do my daily cash reconciliation? This is the report that I suggest that you run. Why? Because of this nice itemized list of all of your payments. So very quickly, you know what, this matches my ACHs, this matches my Visa. You know what, my checks are up. I don't have $523,000 worth of checks today. Well, click on it, and at the very bottom of this report, it's going to now show you exactly what made out that $523,000 worth of checks. So now you can quickly see or try to find out why things are not matching. Also from this report, you may say, you know what, 360, I don't have a check for 360. What is the system saying here? If you click on this payment number, it will give you any details that you added to the receipt payment window. So now very quickly, you can see a check number that you thought you received. And then under the details, it will show you exactly what zone or what memos you have for that payment. Okay? So it's just a nice report to work from. Also what's nice about this report is we do itemize all of the write-offs, the credit memos, and the non-cash adjustments. So again, that's a quick way to come and say, okay, you know what, that matches, that's my write-off adjustment I need to make, that's my credit memo, and that's my non-cash adjustment. The other nice thing that this report does is right here, payments to invoices from customer accounts. Now remember, most of the time, the money that's sitting in your customer account is either a prepayment or an overpayment. So most of the time, that becomes your deferred revenue account, or that holding account per se. So very quickly now you can see things that were moved from your customer account to an invoice. So in essence, that should be your deferred revenue now being applied, because now the invoice and now you applied it. So this number, is sometimes important for people that are really trying to track how much money has moved from deferred to actually being allocated. Okay? And then also we do show you, again, everything that's moving in and out of your customer account. Okay? So that would be one report. Now the other report that I like is what we call the general ledger summary. Now this is a flex report. I actually customized this because I wanted to be able to see it by account type. So again, everything, all my contracts have been invoiced. I know that because I ran the unbilled charges report. Now I'm going to go run my general ledger summary report for July. Okay? Because at the end of the day, these are the numbers that I need to post into my accounting package. Now that poses a question too. A lot of questions that we get. Now I'm doing everything in Magazine Manager. You guys make it so easy. What do I do now? Like, how do I get all this information into my accounting package? I mean, that's all the controller wants to see is this money over in Peachtree or NetSuite or whatever accounting packages you guys may be using. Now, at the end of the day, most clients don't do anything with the details in their accounting package. They leave Magazine Manager to report on all the details. What was received, what was, invoice, and so forth. So in a lot of cases, people are just posting their aggregate number into these accounting packages. So as this report, as you can see, I have it subtotaled by the account type. Now, a lot of clients, by default, we allocate everything by barter, cash, production charges, and any other additional surcharges that you may have set up. Okay? So now, and again, some people are sitting out there and saying, you know what, I just do all accounting or all advertising revenue in one GL bucket in my account. And that's fine too. You wouldn't need it subtotaled. But I do know that a lot of people do allocate different general ledger codes to these different types, so I have it set up this way. So now you can see for July, this is the amount that I need to post into my accounting package for barter. This is my number for cash, and then any other surcharges that you may have set up. Okay. Now again, if you need this, now we have the other clients that, you know what, they want all of the details into their accounting package, and that's okay. What we typically, we have some custom, AR exports that we've done. We've done it for Lawson, we've done it for SAP, we've done it for NetSuite, and I believe we've done one for Sage. At the end of the day, it all starts with something similar to what we're looking on the screen, which is the Flex report. Okay, and it has all of our production information that they need in this accounting package, and then we just add to it. We work with you, the client, and the other accounting vendor, and we get this data out of Magazine Manager in a format to be uploaded into an accounting package. Now, in most cases, that's always a one-way push from Magazine Manager to your accounting package. Keep in mind, Magazine Manager is not a full-blown out accounting package. We don't have payables, we don't have payroll, and so forth. So we can't necessarily bring any information back into Magazine Manager because we may not have those fields because we're not that full-blown out GL package. Okay? So again, you guys need to make that decision. And then the other thing is QuickBooks. We now fully integrate with QuickBooks. And the nice thing about that is, again, everything that we've done is the same, everything we've done during this webinar. But now, if you have the QuickBooks integration, you now go under the accounts receivable, and now you hit this report, and you send all your data to QuickBooks. Now, the nice thing about that, you do have all the details over in QuickBooks. Okay? Again, that's a one-way push. Everything's done in Magazine Manager. We push it all over to QuickBooks. We don't bring anything back from QuickBooks. Okay? Now, again, that saves tons of time, and now your controller is happy because the details are in both systems. Okay? And again, no room for error because no one has to redo or retype or re-enter anything. Okay? All right. Now the second part, or the other part of the process is collections. Where do I go? I don't care about the billing, or I'm responsible for making calls to people that owe us money. Under the report, accounts receivable, we have the AR aging summary. I like this report. I would like to start from the high level and drill into the details as I need it. Okay. And this is a standard AR report. I'm sure it's very similar in other systems that you have. The nice thing about ours, though, we do show you right here on this report any prepayment or credit amount that sits on the account. If you have any questions with any of these numbers on this report, you click on it, and it's going to give you the details that make up that number right at the click of a button. Now, other than this, we have an AR aging detail report. We have a standard one under the accounts receivable, and it's called AR aging detail. I'm going to go ahead and run that. Okay. Now this shows you by the aging buckets in that order. Okay, so we see everything that's current, we see everything that's 1 to 30, 31 to 60, and so forth. Okay, some people love this report. I personally don't. I don't like the way that it's laid out. I want to look at a customer and I want to see everything that they owe me. So when I get them on, finally get them on the phone, I'm collecting everything. I'm not just collecting, my 120 that I was responsible for. I'm asking about the 30, 60, and 90 as well. Okay. Now, with that being said, another question that we've got, we always get is, you know what, I can't even search this AR aging detail report by bucket. Again, I only care about my 90 days or 120. Or, you know what, I'm only responsible for a particular business unit. I don't care about all these other products, nor do I want to run this report one product at a time. So what we've done in that case is we've gone over onto your standard Flex reports, and we did create an AR aging detail report. Okay, this is using our Flex report tool, and as you can see, we have a lot more ways to now search your aging detail. This report will match the standard one, but it just has a lot more flexibility on how you can search for your information. So in this case, I just want to search for anything that's over 91 days. And now if I hit search, it's going to show me this report. Now the nice thing about this report is it's a Flex report, which means you can save this and you can make minor modifications to it. So if there are pieces of information that are important to you in your organization, such as those contact groups that we talked about a little earlier, you want to see if it's a special billing and hey, maybe this client is net 30 or net 60. You can add those types of contact information to this report. And again, this report was created with an accounts receivable person in mind, and that we're trying to give you all of the information that you need right here without going anywhere else, such as the billing contact name and the phone number and so forth. Now from this page, you obviously can get into the customer detailed information if you need to look up more information, or if you needed to see more information on the specific invoice number, you can do that as well. Now again, back to the original conversation that we talked about, that you guys as accounting people or accounting folks, you should be in the customer record, you should be notating every single contact that you have with a client. So again, I highly suggest, recommend, set up an activity type, a collection call. Put in here, talk to Joe. They have no money. I mean, whatever it is, left voicemail, whatever these things are, just make sure that you're notating the accounts and classifying it correctly and hitting save. So that way now, when we come back over to our activity type report, which I have here, I have this one set up. It's, very standard. It's activity type, meeting type. My activity type now, as a manager or a publisher, I want to see, I want to see all the collection calls that were made for the month or for the year or for the quarter or by whom it was made. You have all these options here within this report, and now very quickly I can see, Dawn made 4 collection calls for the entire year. She's fired. That just doesn't happen. And again, I'm not saying that anybody, needs to be checking up on people, but as a company, as an individual, it's nice to see even yourself. You know what? I don't remember what I did yesterday, more or less what I did last week. Let me take a quick look and see who I called last week, because I'm not going to start with those people. I'm going to start with someone else. So again, the system is as powerful as you guys set it up to be. Okay. The other quick thing that I wanted to mention is under the reporting, back to the credit limit. We want to show these people in red. So when our sales reps are looking at their sales run sheets, they're seeing that these people are past due. And they're either going to ask the question to the accounting person, should I still be trying to sell them, or can I help you collect the money? At least it's a way for, they can't say they didn't know. Now, the thing that you need to make sure you do, though, is on the sales run sheet, there is an option here that says check credit balance. You have to make sure that you check this. It's not defaulted to check. So a lot of clients will say, nothing's showing in red. Make sure you check this first. If it's still not showing in red and it matches the criteria of how you set it up, submit a tech support ticket. They'll be happy to look into it and let you know why. And so now very quickly, you can see SL Powers and Dax Enterprises are past due on AR. Okay? And I can even see here, you know what, they have a credit limit of 1. Some people may have a credit limit of $50,000 or $20,000. and now I can see exactly how much they're overdue. Okay, so it's right there in front of everyone. And then the last thing that I wanted to quickly mention are the statements. The statement, let's go ahead, I'm going to run it for SL Powers. Okay, so SL Powers is a company in my database, and now you can see, because I had that site-wide setting checked off, I now have 2 statements for SL Powers. Why? Because they have contracts and invoices going to different billing contacts, whether it's at an ad agency or whether it's 2 different contacts at the same company. Okay, so now when I go ahead and preview, I can now see, you know, exactly what invoices are related to that particular company and or ad agency. Now I know some of you don't like the way that our statements are cosmetically done or created. I am happy to let everyone know that that is a development item that's coming up next, is that we are going to try to recreate and redesign our statements to make them look a little prettier than they are now. So hopefully that will make a few of you happy. Also, just real quick, I know you guys are thinking, what's next? You know, you guys did all this stuff, it's great, but, you know, what can we look forward to from an accounting standpoint? The next items that we have on the AR priority list would be finance charges. As you guys know, we do not calculate finance charges on the fly. A lot of clients do finance charges out of Magazine Manager. They do them as miscellaneous client charges, but they're all done manually. So we're excited to hopefully make that one of our next priorities. That for whatever reason, that one sort of fluctuates, you know, being a priority 1 and a priority 2. So right now it's a priority 1. So hopefully that's something that we're going to be able to release next year. The other thing that may probably pertains more to the sales team, but also accounting, is the ability to map, update, or edit a contract or a proposal. One of the biggest things right now in Magazine Manager are these combo packages. I've seen them. People have 80 to 100 line items per proposal. And now that client decides, come June, halfway through the year, they want to upgrade or they need to downgrade. And so now, you know, you have to go in, because now those are 80 individual contracts in Magazine Manager. They're all unique to one another. I mean, they're all unique to one another. So there's no way around it except to individually edit each one and upgrade it. Or some clients say, you know what, it's easier just to delete it and recreate a proposal for the 6 months. So we're really excited. It's a huge project. It's going to take a lot of testing, but we are going to have the ability to be able to map, update, or edit contract information. That's also going to flow through to production. How many times have you guys may have heard from your production folks, you know what, it's the same production notes for the entire year. It doesn't change from January to December. It's the same ad, it's the same caption, it's the same information. How can I more quickly make that note on all 12 of those job jackets? This is what's going to help them as well. And then last is our combo installment. A lot of you have asked, you know, how can I create a proposal package of $80,000 with 80 line items on it, but give my client, whatever the math is, you guys probably know the math better than I do, a $12,000 invoice every single month. They don't care where it's allocated. The client just wants to see a $12,000 invoice every month. So that's something, again, that's one of our priorities. We're looking into it. We're in the final design phases of that. It's a hard thing to do because, again, in Magazine Manager, we have to make sure that our sales data matches our AR. That's something that we take great pride in, and we don't want to break that where, you know, your AR could say something, but your sales says another. Now, again, some systems will do that to make it easier to give that client the $12,000 invoice that they want. But again, you lose that tie back to your sales data and your sales report. So that's something that, you know, I think we finally broke the code on that. We just need to get that implemented. So that's what we're looking forward to here in the next, the rest of this year and early next year. So I think I am out of time. That was 50 minutes of nonstop talking. Again, I appreciate your time this afternoon. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If you need anything, any further information with anything I've gone over, please feel free to reach out to myself or your software consultant. Thanks. Have a great day.